Welcome to The Gathering Table, a special series of the IWD 406 podcast, where we explore what it means to live, work, build, connect, and belong in Montana. At The Gathering Table, we have conversations about the Montana way of life, community relationships, dating, motherhood, business, purpose, adventure, personal growth, overcoming challenges, and the experiences that shape who we become. This is a space where perspectives matter, stories are shared, and women have the opportunity to learn from one another through honest conversation. At IWD 406, we believe in passing the mic. Every guest who joins us has the opportunity to invite another Montana woman to the table, creating a growing network of stories, experiences, and voices that deserve to be heard. The Gathering Table is one part of the larger IWD 406 storytelling platform, alongside segments like the Builders Table, featuring women building businesses and organizations, and legacy Montana women, highlighting the women who have helped shape our communities and culture. Together, these stories will live within our growing promotional house, bringing audio, visual, and written storytelling together in one place to help people discover the women, businesses, and ideas shaping Montana. Now, if you're a Montana woman with a story, perspective, expertise, or experience to share, we'd love to hear from you. If you're a business looking for meaningful co-promotion, visibility, sponsorship, or advertising opportunities, we'd love to connect. One of the things that makes IWD 406 unique is our commitment for co-promoting our guests and partners through podcast distribution, social media storytelling, community engagement, events, and future digital features designed to help your story live beyond a single episode. To learn more, become involved, advertise with us, or explore upcoming opportunities, visit us at www.iwd406.com. Now, let's pull up a chair at the gathering table and begin today's conversation. Today, we are sitting down with Erin Kay Anderson, a Billings-born, Missoula-based dog mom to Aloe Duane, a yoga teacher, community builder, and a woman who brings both depth and sharp, dry wit to every space she enters. With a Boston education, I want to say Boston, and Montana roots, Erin carries a unique perspective, one shaped by Minnesota nice, big sky thinking, and a belief that there are no limits to how we connect, grow, and care for one another. Whether she's leading yoga classes, building community, or navigating the wild reality of dating in big sky country, Erin brings honesty, curiosity, and insight to this conversation. And today, we're bringing that conversation to the table. Welcome, Erin. How are you?
I'm well, Julie. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
Good. It's very exciting. I love following you on, like I had mentioned, on Instagram. For those listening in, she's got a wonderful platform on Instagram that gives a lot of insight in all things psychology, dating life. We're going to get into it. But first, I just want to say I've met your dog, Aloe. He is adorable. What type of a dog is he?
He's a boxer pit mix.
He's a boxer. He's got the most beautiful coloring and the cutest little mug on him. I love it.
Sweet little face. Yeah.
I hope he enters into the chat.
Currently passed out on the floor just in time.
Good. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Now, are you a born and raised Montanan or are you a transplant?
No, I'm born and raised in Billings. My parents moved there right before I was born. And so grew up at 72nd and Clark area. So out the outskirts of Billings until I was 10. And then we moved into town.
That's into town? Because Billings is big.
Billings is huge. Actually. Geographically, it's a really huge space. I had gone to see a friend for a holiday party who lived in the Heights. And as I was driving, and this was just a few years ago, and I drove up there and I was like, I've never been up here.
Really?
It's just,
it's grown. Is it grown that much? And it's pretty widespread, right?
Yeah, it's always, I think the Billings city limit has always been a really large spread, but it's also grown, right? In terms of urban sprawl in Montana. You're seeing it in Bozeman a little bit now too, a little bit in Missoula, but Billings is really eye-opening just to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is for you, did you give everybody a little insight into what you do today?
Yeah. So I'm like Jill of all trades, other than the trades. So don't ask me to install your sink or something like that.
I won't do that.
But right now I do social media and have for different companies, mainly folks out east, a little dabbling here and there, a little bit of graphic design, but I'm not professionally trained within it. But I do like to throw a few things together. I've gotten quite good at it over the past 10 to 15 years. And then I teach yoga and do pop-up events around town and still hold space for yoga teachers down in Billings to do some events down there. We're going to be growing that out again, which I'm really excited about. And then I do a little bit of just coaching on the side. So whether that be like body somatics and people just wanting to move through things that they're holding within their bodies, or if they want to sit down and process some things just through speak and set some goals for themselves, I'm kind of there to help coach and guide along the way. However, I used to work in nonprofits. I've been thinking about getting back into work in nonprofits because I've felt a little disconnected. I think moving back to Montana from running your own business. And quite honestly, I'm 43. I'm like really tired of, oh God, I'm tired of the hustle. And
It makes sense.
I'd like a little bit of grounding. I'd like to meet people across the state in more professional spaces and just not inside yoga spaces. But I do enjoy working with people and working with bodies.
Well, and there's so much out of that, Erin, so much insight of what, because the body does have a tendency to hold trauma. And you, as a yoga, you're very in tune with that. And then I love on your platform how you do a lot of conversations about what is that? What is that uncomfortableness? What am I feeling? And you're educating people on that. So I see how it goes goes into that coaching world. So I'm really excited to chat with you because you have such a great perspective. You are grounded and you're in tune with that and with other people.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a journey and there's always learning. I'm like, there's no perfection over here.
No, there's no perfection.
Yeah.
We
No.
want to get rid of that one. That word's
I was told a long time ago that perfection is a white supremacist norm. And I was like, I'm done with perfection.
There you go. Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's the thing that keeps us in spaces of competition between women and always trying to be better or look different. And it's exhausting. And so I'm just trying to have more conversations with women just within my circles about what does it mean just to be, not be perfect, not be busy, not be impactful, just be.
Yes. We need more being.
We do. We do.
And I want to get into our conversation today because this will be I cannot wait to get your perspective on this. We're going to be talking a little bit about dating in Montana, the hot topic that I feel like comes up in every circle that I'm in. There's the curiosity factor for those that are in intimate relationships, and there's those people that are looking. And I think overall, everyone is curious. They're curious about what dating is, what it looks like, what should it look like, what's normal, what is normal, what does that even mean to date in Montana? Like I said, I'm really excited for you to be a part of this conversation. So let's get into it. Dating in Montana, what is the reality versus what people think it is here?
I think the reality is that there's this romantic picture of dating in Montana of you being out at a cowboy bar and a cowboy spots you from across the way and saunters his way over to you and offers to buy you a drink or take you for a spin on the dance floor. And I feel like it used to be like that. This is again 20-year-old me. And maybe I was just more open to it.
Yes.
But I don't think it's like that anymore. And I don't know if it's like that in a lot of places, honestly, right? I don't know if it's just this Montana thing, but I think Montana gets very romanticized, kind of like the big city got romanticized for me before I moved there, right?
Yes.
It's hustle. I grew up in the Sex and the City era.
Say that. You're reading my mind. Yes.
There was always glances fired across the room and someone would approach and then maybe you would start dating type of a thing. But here in Montana right now, I just don't think that it's like that anymore. If I get approached or the times I've gotten approached, it is by men that are not from here. and are new to this space.
Okay.
Like, I was dropping off my yoga bag. Friday nights, I always teach my yoga class, and then my girlfriends drop our stuff at our cars, and we go out and grab dinner together and shoot the shit, and it's always fun. And so around this time last spring, I was dropping off my car or my bag in the parking garage, and there was this guy that was like walking in front of me who's on the phone. He was talking about going to a burlesque show, and he was like, I don't know what burlesque is. I don't know. He's like classy stripping. I don't know. And burlesque is big here. I think there's this interesting comeback that's going on. So it's beautiful to,
Oh, yeah.
witness anyway. But he glanced back and was like, I got to get off the phone with you. This woman's too beautiful not to talk to. And I couldn't not talk to him because I hadn't been approached like that for a minute in terms of just flat out. And he's, hi, I'm
Wow.
so. And I said, where are you from? Because you're obviously not from here. And he was from the Midwest. And he's, I'd love to take you out sometime. Can I have your number? And it was just very direct and to the point, and I really appreciated it.
Yes. Yes.
But it wasn't, there's no creep factor, right? He wasn't drunk. I think that's another piece in it too. I don't want the drunk guy at the bar. I understand maybe if you're like a drinking and you want to approach me, but the wasted guy stumbling up to you, asking you if you want to dance.
Yes.
No, I'm just not interested, flattered,
Right.
not interested.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like that type of interaction is few and far between.
That's so sad.
It is sad. And I'm like, is it just me? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's this matter of on dating apps, and it's men like, I'm a vegetarian. I grew up in a hunting family. I don't want to see the elk you got last year.
Right.
I don't want to see you posing with guns.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
there's certain things that we can have these conversations, but this isn't. And so it's an interesting space of a disconnect between, I think, what men are told that women want in terms of what a rugged man is.
Yeah.
Versus this, if it's guns and killing things. I don't know. In the society that we live in today, or in any society, I don't think that any women are like, ooh, if you can provide, if that's what you're trying to say, I can provide I have this skill set that I can provide food for my family. Pretty primitive, like,
Right.
in that sense. But, I think that there's that kind of weird wave of violence within it that I'm like, how much do you like guns? And I don't necessarily feel safer. I really need to know you to know how safe I feel with you owning a gun.
Makes sense. It
You
makes
know? And I
sense.
grew up here.
Yeah.
Like,
That's interesting.
And this is before gun safes were really even a big thing. My dad had a gun cabinet that was glass face that he kept his rifles in. And I'm pretty sure the key was in the drawer below it. We just knew that we just didn't touch them. They weren't something to play with. They weren't out on display. They were like in a side room that we had, like in the house. But so it feels different.
Yeah. Do you think, let me ask you this, do you think it's because a lot of people that I've met, men and women that grew up in Montana, this is the Montana way, right? We all own guns. We all go out and hunt. It's the West. It's the Wild West, I think, right? And we're still in that rugged way of thinking, but you are correct. You've got now people coming in from elsewhere, but you also had the experience of leaving.
Right.
And getting some new exposure and new perspective. So coming back here, did you have that perspective before you left?
When I think about when dating apps first came out and I was out in Boston, you would never see a homeboy in the city holding a gun. They're dating.
Not on the East Coast for sure.
That was not a thing.
No.
And Massachusetts is different. But you can have guns in Massachusetts. Gun laws are a lot more strict. But people aren't out here showing people their guns.
Yes.
That's a very different dynamic. That's very new to me. And I immediately swipe left on that. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yes.
Because it's a type of mentality that I don't even want to have the conversation for you to explain it to me. Maybe that sounds harsh, but at my age, I'm like, any true dudes that I know that would be like on a dating app right now that own firearms are not going to be holding their firearm.
No, that seems to me like uber masculine, uber ego focused. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like, ooh. And then, but I do think there are people that here that are attracted to that.
I
And
mean,
again, it's
looks fun
Montana.
for
It's
some people.
It does.
If they like,
Yeah. From a perspective, it does not.
it does not.
And that's why we're having these conversations, because I like to hear what it is that captures your attention, right?
Yeah.
Being here in Montana and knowing this is the culture, this is the place where people are gunslinging. And we have all those old Westerns. We still have movies all about gunslinging out, and movies are being made here left and right for that type of feel, vibe, whatever. It hasn't gone away, right? No, it hasn't. And when you had mentioned being in Boston, being out east, Sex in the City, and I wrote down a note about how here it feels more masculine focused. Out east, women are more positioned in control of, hey, yes, no, this is what I want. Power, a little bit of a power play there. Sex in the City really drove that. And I thought that was epic, very empowering for women.
I think of the time, it was very empowering for women. I would go over to one of my girlfriend's house, and because I wasn't really allowed, we didn't have the channel, we didn't have HBO, but I would go to her house to watch it on Thursdays. So every Thursday night, her dad would make a plate of deer sausage with saltines and mustard and cheese, and we would eat deer sausage and watch, and that's Montana to me, and watch Sex.
That makes so sense. I'm just getting the visual in my head. That's interesting. I love what you just said there, but it's definitely a culture here. Now I'm kind of getting the place setting, right? I see where you're at with that. And I see, yes, there are a lot of those men, and there's women too they're hunting, they're whatever that looks like for them. And they may be looking for that person.
I think so. I have friends that I have a very eligible bachelor friend. I should plug him. Ladies, I'm just.
No, do it. I love it.
Like, if you are looking for a primitive skills man, him and I we did our master's together. He lives just up the street from me. Good dude from Pennsylvania, has been out here for a really long time. I can give you more information on him if you're interested. But fresh out of a relationship, so I'm just going to plug him if I can. I think in terms of primitive skills, and he talks about that too. I want to be able to go and like hike and stuff with the woman that I'm with. I want to be able to do some things. And I'm like, I understand that, but also understand that you may not get like all of that.
Maybe it doesn't exist.
I'm like, I'll go for a day hike with you, darling. I think that there's a lot of women too that are like, I'll do this day hike thing with you. But when glamping became a thing, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I know my girlfriends and I joke, like my girlfriends from out east and I joke, it's like our ancestors did not work this hard for us to be sleeping in the dirt.
Exactly. What the hell?
Like,
who wants to do that? No one.
So,
I mean, there are people, but I don't want to do that.
No, I don't.
No.
But it's just like I understand that there are some people that are looking to do that type of thing with their partner. And I think that's great. But my question is, are you posting photos as men because you want to do that type of stuff with your partner? Or are you posting these photos because you feel like it's a portrayal of like masculine? Because I don't see it as masculinity to me is that space of safety, right? It is a space of you going to an event with your partner, regardless of the event. He says, girl, go do your thing. I'll be over here. He keeps watch of the room and the space, can have good conversations. Other women can approach him. He can say, nice to meet you. My partner's right over there. You should also meet her, like type of a thing. That is a space of you're secure in our relationship, you're secure in yourself, and you're secure with me doing my thing. And you still have a watchful eye on what is going on in the room in the space.
Oh, Erin, that's awesome. I love that. It's a confidence piece. That's confidence energy. Oh, that makes total sense. It's attractive.
It is.
I mean, as you're explaining it, I'm like, oh, I'm for sure attracted to that.
Yes. Like
Yes.
that's masculinity to me. I think that
Mhm.
if you need to have something in your hand in terms of a weapon to prove your masculinity, you lack confidence to me. And I think that's an important piece in all
Yep,
of
makes
it.
sense.
And I think a lot of men, I think that they have confidence, right? And I think men and women combined, right? There's this notion of having confidence comes from having things. So I feel more confident because I drive this nice car. I feel confident because I own my own home. I feel confident but at the end of the day, I dated a man who was homeless, living out of his car at one point, and his confidence was through the roof.
Wait, oh my gosh.
Wow, that's a lot.
Uh, You're going to come back on podcast or segment 2. We're going
Yeah,
to dive into that one.
he had my heart real bad.
Oh, but
He
I
was
mean,
so
you know what?
confident.
That is it's important. It's
Yeah.
probably one of your non-negotiables.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and we want to get into that.
Yeah.
But this is why I was so excited to talk with you, because you just have such a fantastic pulse. You understand, you see it from all different angles, and you have such a beautiful perspective on it, just from getting out of the gate. Now, my other question for you is, we live in these smaller communities. You came from Boston. There's millions of people. I came from mid-state, but my area, considered small, was minimally 300, 400,000 people. There's a big pool of people to pick from, and I was a small community from where I'm from. But
Right.
how does dating work here with these small pools of people? You know what I mean? How does that work?
I think that pools of people and community is energetic, right? Yes, there's proximity in terms of small town dynamics, 1,000%. It's like being in high school. You've got friends in high school, everyone's kind of like dating around in the other ring of dudes, and then people break up, and then other people get together and say, oh my gosh, but you guys dated, so is it okay if we date? There's that dynamic, because I think that like there are still some folks that think that high school or college, best years of our life. And maybe it was because the communication was actually there and people were able to work through whatever relationship, like discord within relationship was like going on. But I think that
Did they really, though? I'm looking back and going, did we really work through it?
I also chose, like when I was in high school, to date somebody outside of my high school in a different high school.
Were you shunned from that by the men? Because I know my experience was, it was almost like how dare you? You're not coming from your own pool of people.
Interesting.
And it isn't, because I was small town, which really wasn't small. Yes and no. But to go outside of the radius of where I'm from was like, there's a little bit of it doesn't land well.
I don't think there were a few men in my high school that I think were like interested in me, but because I didn't run just with the popular crowd of girls, they expressed being like, I'm interested in you, but I can't. In my high school, because they would be looked at a certain way for dating me outside of the popular core ring.
Got you.
I remember being like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so I went, and so I don't think that too many people, because I think a lot of people started doing that, like dating people from different high schools. And Billings had, just to put Billings in perspective as size, we had Senior West, Skyview, 3 main high schools, and then a private Catholic high school as well.
Mhm.
And now they have Lockwood, but there was like 300 to 400 kids in each graduating class
Okay.
from like
Okay.
all of the schools, like
Yeah.
type of thing.
So it
So
wasn't real small. It wasn't small. So you
no.
do have more of a, especially in Billings, but I'm thinking about these smaller communities that outside of Billings. I'm even looking at where I'm from up here, Whitefish. It's not a big
Oh, I
community.
can't even imagine dating in Whitefish.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation from what I'm understanding. But now you have all these interconnected circles. You can't not know somebody that knows somebody, right? It's very much glaring in your face.
You know, and
Interconnected for
I
sure.
think there's the interconnected piece. And I found that I think living in Boston, I think the communities I was running with, I even had some girlfriends in Boston to be like, you can't date him because I used to date him. Did you know that? Type of a thing. And I was like, what?
So
Like,
it's like territorial.
yes, there was
Okay.
some of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like being the new girl coming into Boston was like an interesting spot because we were all in these pools of connectors in the entrepreneurial circuit, folks that were in innovation. We were going to the same events.
Shared experiences. Yeah. Makes sense.
And I think that the same is here, but it's funny because I don't have many men. The men that I've met here, like I have my friend who did my master's with, who I met 20 years ago as like a good male friend of mine. Another guy, he randomly approached me, like who I consider like a good friend that we kick it like often. But he approached me. I just sat down next to him at the Dram here one day and we started chatting. But he again was another one and good looking guy. Sweet. He doesn't want to have kids. So it's him and I are one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's a non-negotiable for me. But like I love your energy and let's still definitely be friends. But he was another one who was from outside of Detroit who struck up conversation with me at the bar.
Okay.
You know,
So
and was
not a
like,
true Montanan, a transplant.
correct.
Gotcha.
And I find that I date like more coming back post Boston, I date more transplants than, but I think the folks that are from Montana, who have been in Montana for a long time and who have traveled around the state and lived in different cities and have come back to different spaces, that network, there's only 1 million people in the state.
Right.
Growing now since COVID, let's say,
Right.
but you're also looking at a state that takes damn near 12 hours to drive across. So when you look at the pockets of people who are going to be in like this state of interest for you, it is few, and it's like I have swiped right on the same people for the number of times that I've gotten on and off of dating apps because I am the habitual, let me go on this tonight and see. I'll create a whole brand new profile, go on it, and it's the same damn people on it. And I'm like, oh,
So that brings me to my next thing. Interestingly, you brought that up, but I discovered, and I think it was because of you and a couple other people had mentioned, are you familiar with, have you dated this guy or the same guy? Are we dating the same guy on Facebook? I
yeah.
am. Okay, so here's the deal. I've been married for 20, I'll be 20 years here soon. And I think to myself, I'm like, oh, I'm getting on that. I'm joining because I am fascinated. This is a
Yeah.
social experiment that intrigues me.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, there cannot be chapters here in Montana because I think it was 2 women that started in New York City. And then it just filtered beyond. They were interviewed on some news station out that way. And I read the article, I learned about it, and then it just was like it filtered out throughout the rest of the US. And then it came to Montana. And
Yeah.
I think it's Paolo is the woman that runs, I think, Montana's Facebook, and I joined it. And I was like,
Okay.
Erin, I'm telling you right now, it is it's brilliant. And then I started asking people, okay, we live in a small town. The small town dynamics are a real thing here. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
And is this true? Do people actually end up dating the same people? And how does that work? How does that even evolve into something? Because it's recycling of the same people.
Yeah. I feel, here comes Aloe.
Hi, Aloe. It's so cute.
So I think the way that it works, right? Because Montana is so spread out,
Yeah.
And you know what? These men have probably been doing this for years because it's so spread out. Come over here, Bubba. Okay. You can lay right there. You got something on your face. So I think that people date across cities. And so they can feel like they can kind of
Get
get
away. Yeah. Autonomous. Yeah. Being like, oh, I'm going to be somebody different over here. Or
yeah.
I'm going to start. Yeah, exactly. Be in this dip in this other pool. But you're
So
right. You're right. That whole separation of space. And now I'm exploring into this community, which
no.
takes 2 to 3 hours to get to. Right.
Yeah.
And dating is effort.
Oh,
However you want to look at it, it's all effort.
yeah. I had a guy approach me, the same guy that approached me in our little love affair was fast and furious, the guy from the parking garage. And honestly, I ran into him probably early February of this year, and he ghosted me. And when he saw me, we were at the dry cleaners. I saw him walk in and I was like, and there was a moment of peak interest. I didn't see his face. And then when I was talking, like asking for my dry clean, hey, I am like really sorry that I totally faded out. I was just not in a good place. I'm like, oh, I know you weren't. And I was not concerned. It was very easy. That's the beauty of getting older. Like, I know it wasn't about me. Like,
Right.
you were doing whatever the thing is that you were doing. And I just knew that I wasn't going to chase after you and be a part of it.
But
And
that's
so,
interesting that you said that because that kind of segues into the emotional trauma that comes out of relationships. Not just the fact that you're seeing now people are bebopping across the street and dipping into new pools. And then you read on the face, are you dating this guy? And then you read about his trauma bonding and you read about her trauma bonding and how it's still the same shit show, but with a new person, right? And now we're seeing, it's interesting that you just mentioned that this gentleman ghosted you, because I didn't even know that even people still do that. That seems like that's more my generation. Because now I'm listening my kids talk about their dating and what they've experienced or in their circles, and ghosting's not really a thing with this very younger generation. And I'm like, oh, is that because they have a higher emotional IQ than my
maybe.
generation?
I
Maybe.
mean,
But that's
yeah.
interesting you point that out because I do want to talk about relationships and cultivating relationships with people from these ancestral pockets. Can I just say that? Can I be honest? Okay. You know that there's history there. There's probably generational family history that pops in to play. And since you have such a fantastic background, coaching and all the things tapping into that, how does that show up in dating and relationships that you cultivate?
I feel like the emotional stuff is, I think for my generation, I feel like one, people love as much as we don't want to admit it, and I'll put myself in the box of it, although I try to exit from it very quickly. The minute I feel like there's going to be drama, I'm out. But there have been other moments where in my younger self that I felt like the drama, because there's something in you that turns on it's an emotional rush. And if you are not understanding what's it's like healthy stress, bad stress, right? But you get the same flood of endorphins with either, right? One either just builds your brain and makes you make different choices in order for your own ongoing well-being. Or, and I say my younger self, but it's like, I think this is something we probably would have cycled around to later, but like when I moved back to Billings, I moved from Boston to Missoula. I stayed here for 2 years. And then I moved back to Billings to help my folks out with some stuff. And I, in my own right, two sides of every coin, was still dealing with some of my own stuff. I ran into an ex of mine that was like we dated when we were like 12, 17, 18. 28 and hadn't spoken to him since I was like 29, 30, probably. And we would always end with the same thing. Me not knowing if I wanted to be with him being drunk and mean, and him most likely feeling rejected with me being like, I don't know if I want to be with you. Right. But coming back to this space of the drama of it all just became comfortable. It was something that I knew.
Yeah.
And as much as we're like human beings don't like change, we'll hold on to drama as uncomfortable as it is. And as much as we want to bitch about it and be on, are you dating my man? Are you, type of a thing, we'll go back to it time and time again because it becomes the pattern, right?
Right.
In yoga, we call them samskaras, right? There's this space of, and I love the visual that this woman, there's this book called The Secret Power of Yoga by Nishala Joy Devi, and I reference it a lot. It is the translation of the Yoga Sutras from a woman's perspective, speaking to the heart of women. And so she talks about it from this space of, here's this mountain, right? There's this serene lake at the foot of it, and drama or the wind comes in and it starts to move the water. And at first you can still see things, but then the water gets really murky, but it moves all the way into the sand and it carves out it carves the sand into these patterns that you can't, in order for you to move out of that pattern, because you're just caught in the groove, right? That's the samskara, right? So in order for you to move out of that, there has to be something big that happens that shakes the sand. And I think that we just get into that habit of just moving just by human design within our brains and the way that we move and operate. And so when I went back to Billings, I was dead broke, and my brother gave me, because casinos are big in Montana, right? So there's
Yes.
bars.
Yeah.
I do not frequent casino bars in Missoula, but I did in
Right, yeah.
Billings because
Yeah.
it's really where everyone goes, because every bar is a casino. I think that's what other people don't realize too. Every bar is a casino.
Yeah.
So
That's an important thing that you just pointed out. It's interesting.
it's like double addiction in one place. It's wild.
1,000%.
So I'm sitting there. My brother gives me a chip, and that's what they do at a lot of these bars. People will buy rounds or they'll give chips, or the bartenders will be like, come back for another thing. And it's like a free drink. So my brother gave me this stack of chips. He's just go. My friend Joe is working. So I go down and I'm sitting there, and two older guys that just got off the golf course. That's the other thing. People love golf in Montana. They love hunting and golf. And my family is a family of golfers on my mom's side. I was never taught to, I just don't have patience for little balls, and it drives me nuts. Anyway, I can see the joy that people get from it though. So anyway, these two guys get off the golf course. It's 4th of July. When I first came into this spot, I saw this really striking woman sitting at the table. This is important detail. Striking Latina woman who was probably in her late 60s, early 70s, probably. And as I'm talking to these two guys, there's this guy that walks past me with a low biker looking guy, low ponytail. And I was like, that's my ex's dad. And I was like, I haven't seen him for a long time. And I still can't place this woman, but in my body, I was like scared of her. I was like, God, I don't even know. I'm like, she's striking, but she scares me. I don't know why. And then I swear to God, within 2 minutes, my ex walks through the door. And I haven't seen him for years. I hadn't seen him for years. And he walks in, he walks right towards me, and then walks right around me. And I was like, excuse me. I'm like, are you really about to walk and ignore me sitting right here? And he's, and this is our relationship. He's been on the golf course all day, probably drinking. And said, oh, I'm sorry. And I shouldn't say it like that because I'm sitting in this casino bar having a drink anyway.
Right. Yes.
So he's, oh, I'm sorry. I just haven't seen you, I don't know, for probably 12 years. I didn't think that you were going to be sitting here on the 4th of July as I walk into my bar. And then his dad comes around and is, oh my God, Erin, gives me a big hug.
Wow.
Then he feels that he has to give me a big hug. The woman sitting behind us was his mother.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she scared me because we used to lie to her and sneak into his house and stay the night. Or we would lie to her and be like, my parents are out of town and Erin has to stay.
That's fascinating that you didn't even know who she was, but that your body remembered it.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Fascinating.
Yeah, I trust my body for most things at this point in my life.
Yeah.
But so we ended up going up to his apartment, sat on the rooftop deck, watched the fireworks. We tried dating again, and it was the same shit. And a couple weeks, I'll say a couple months into it, I'm sitting at another casino bar that one of his best friends' brothers owns. And this woman that we went to high school with, I see her there. I'm like, oh, it's so good to see. I haven't seen you in a really long time. Like, how's everything? And she's crying. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? She's like, there's this guy I've been seeing for a really long time, but he just told me recently that he's been seeing other people and doesn't want to see me anymore. But he initially lied to me and said he wasn't seeing other people. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is so,
Yeah.
do I know him?
Yes. So my head would go.
Who
Who is it? Who is it?
Yeah. And she's, oh no, you know him well.
Oh,
And so she says my ex's name, who I've been seeing.
oh.
And I was like, oh, so it's me. And she's, I can't even be mad at you. And you shouldn't see him. He's such an asshole. And I went to him and said, I have known you for a long time. And the crazy thing about this situation with you and I right now is that I never once have lied to you. I was like, but you lied to me. You lied to me. And I was like, and at this point in time, I think throughout the whole course of my life, I've been very much one that I was on the Planned Parenthood teen board, protection against STDs, STIs, things along those lines. Being on birth control and using condoms was like my saving grace as a teenager, probably, like all of the things. And so I'm like, everyone's health is their vitality and their longevity. And it's the way I make my money. And what you can't be lying to me about sleeping with other people. And so to go back to that space of, I've stayed off of the whole Facebook group. But yes, right, this happens. And I think it's because we get wrapped up. And I finally was like, I can't see you anymore. We have to stop this.
Yeah.
Because I think that there is this thing that happens with women, right? More so with women than men in these certain situations when we are like trying to be the one that they choose. And I think when I realize that I'm the one that is the chooser, like, then my whole perspective on dating, rather than being like the choose me, or my whole perspective on dating changed.
Yeah.
And it gave me the ability to walk away. But I think that, again, we get trapped into these drama ruts and like space of wanting to be chosen. And I think the thing that shakes it all up is usually something where you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't be involved in this.
Yes. And I want to say a couple things. I took some notes here. You just made it quick. I'm going to start with your recent, but now this is so fascinating. It has not changed, Erin. The reason why my daughter, who's 14 years old, comes home and I'm like, I quiz her about different things. And just to get a pulse on what it's like being in school, what it's like for the dating, what's it like how girls interact with one another. And we were talking a little bit about the dating and the who's going, they don't even call it going with, but she's, oh, Mom, there's the pick-me girls. That's what they call them. Obviously there's the slang that slang dictionary just got alerted to about how I need to catch up with slang. But I'm like, what's a pick-me? And she's pick-me, or the pick-me girls, the ones that want to be picked by the boys or by the girls or whatever that looks like. And I'm like, that's what they're called? She's like, yeah. And I thought in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, that hasn't changed. That still exists.
Yeah.
But I want to also back up to two things that you had mentioned. You had mentioned, and I'm going to go backwards in time here in our conversations with just this story alone. There's a lot of different things when people are listening that can think just different avenues to go down on talking about dating in Montana, because going into that Facebook group and saying, are we dating the same people? Which is that basically the story of what you just gave us. And it's interesting because where I'm from, the territorial aspect kicks in for women because I'm Chicago South. And if that would have been something like happened in where I'm from, it would have been a knockdown, drag out fight between two women.
Interesting.
So it goes into more than, I'm just going to say, bitch, you have my man. Like,
yeah.
And then it becomes this competitive territorial issue that you hear about that blows up.
Yeah.
But now what I'm seeing is the shift, and maybe it could be culturally being here in Montana. Maybe it's just only the few things that I've witnessed growing up where I'm from, or I'm like, oh, that's not good. She found out, like the cheaters camp or whatever. Oh, they're going to be in a big fight. Somebody's going to get their hair pulled. It's going to be an issue, but it's more of, oh, I can't be mad at you because he's the dickhead, right? He's the problem, right? And it goes back to that, which is interesting in that shift of victimization, accountability, masculinity and femininity. But I'm just making some points out of your story, but I also want to back up even further about the options here for dating, right? What's the environment? What is setting the stage, right? We're seeing the scene. You've got nothing but bars that are attached to casinos, which is dual addiction. We've got dual addiction, which is heavy here in Montana. Or you got to go find, because there's not a lot of culture and art in our areas. They're developing it. They're doing a really good job. We've got more music festivals, more galleries. We're not in Boston, right? That's a whole different ball game for options. Same thing with Chicago, where you can go up and pretty much go see a Broadway show or go have some experiences. We have dual addiction option, casino, bar, right? Or you have outdoor scenery, outdoor hikes, outdoor anything, whatever. And now you got to figure out and navigate how to meet those people. It's a very complicated space to be in.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's why arts and culture are like so incredibly important. But I also think network, and this was like something similar in Boston. My girlfriends and I would joke like, because when you're a student, right? Let's say you're a student here at the U, there's parties, there's smaller get-togethers, and you're still in the mindset of, hey, let's all get together. Oh, Erin, have you met John? He's so great. Like there still is like that kind of homegrown, honest way to meet one another. I met my high school, like one of my high school boyfriends, not the guy from the casino space, but because him and I met in the halls of Lewis and Clark Middle School anyway, but love him deeply. But the other guy I met through my friend's cousin who went to the other high school, right? So there was still this space of interconnection through family and friends and that type of, and there were lots of house parties.
Right.
There were lots of house parties as kids. And is that a good thing, bad thing? We can,
Well, it's a social experiment, but it's still not online.
Correct. Still not online.
Still not online.
And so here it's if I'm out hiking in the woods and some guy approaches me in the woods, absolutely not.
Hell to the no.
Like,
yeah, that's scary.
And most men understand that. And then you have the bar casinos. And I think that there's some bars that are they're a little different than the other bar. And when we talk about bars out here, there are a few classier joints, but let's be honest, economics has nothing to do with whether or not you're trying to hook up with somebody or if you're trying to date them.
Correct.
So it does not matter the space that you are in. You think you're going to get a classier man because you're in a hotel bar? Bitch, you ain't.
That's so true. That is true, though.
Um,
That's
so
true.
true.
Yeah.
I think that's why arts and I think smaller get-togethers. And the thing that I was going to say about places and spaces out in Boston is like when we started to come into, because I got there when I was like 29, 28, 29, and I, for my second, third go round on the East Coast. And then so I was in in Boston throughout my 30s, and it really got to this spot where all of us girlfriends were talking because I had girlfriends that were like in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, and we were like, "Where do the grown and sexy people go? Where's the lounge space that we can sit? Because if I'm going to go out in a pair of heels at this point in my life, give me a plushy couch and a nice beverage in my hand that I can kick back and look nice and shoot the shit with my girlfriends. And if you're brave enough, you can come over, and
Yeah.
interject yourself into the group.
Correct.
Type-
You're setting the stage on,
Correct.
and I want to get into that, but before we do, because that's the expectation piece that I want to dive into. But before we get into that, I got to back up just a little bit because I want to segue off the pick me piece.
Yeah.
The choosing myself or choosing wanting that person to choose me. But here's the deal. It comes with I think what I see, and I obviously, Erin, you've done work for yourself. You've done a lot of things to break those cycles and the trauma bonding. And then now we're recognizing the same pattern, the shit show that you had with your ex, right? I
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about when you do get to know somebody. Let's say you go on a date with somebody, you do the swipe, you meet them, whatever the stage looks like. A casino bar, upscale, luxury hotel bar, whatever out in the woods, whatever that you want to set the stage. I want your perspective because this is where I see you really shining and talking about this is the emotional part of what are some of the signs when you're starting to talk to them, are you seeing warning signs? Is how do you get men to express more? How do you get to see some of those patterns so then you can warn yourself in the back of your head going, okay, do I take this to the next date? Does it show up quickly? Are people more apt to share some of the things, the emotional pieces, emotional vulnerability? Did you see that in the first date? Do you get tapped into that right away? You probably can because that's what you do,
I do. At this point, I do.
Do you divulge that yourself?
Because for me, it's like I've been the pick me girl. Please, dear God, I wouldn't call that. I would call it. My parents did. My parents did a good job with the resources and stuff that they had. But I think that at somewhere along the line, because of certain things, I emotionally abandoned myself, right? And I think that most women go through that and we just and I think the narrative that's given to us, everything from the moment that a man gets down on his knee and says, I choose you, will you marry me? Type of a thing. That narrative is something that's very much has been ingrained in us as women for a very long time.
Yes.
So you're talking about generations of women feeling like we have to be chosen. And if that's not the narrative that you're given at home, if there's no counter narrative to that at home, right? To be like, no, honey, people are going to make their own decisions and life, energy, happenstance. There's so many factors that come into play in terms of, is this the right person for you right now? And I think that and timing of it all. And I think a lot of the people in my life were right for me at that moment because there was something for me to learn. But how long you choose to stay in something that is giving you a warning sign of this might not be good for you anymore, that's on you. And I think that some people would give me some pushback on that in terms of domestic abuse survivors and things along those lines. And I've stood in those shoes in one of my relationships as well. And where I've gone back to men where they've been abusive. And I think that there's just this real hope, right? We're also so stuck, I think, as women on this concept of time. We only have so much time. Women. I don't think it's like grandfather time. I think it's grandmother time because women understand an internal clock
Mhm.
more so than men do. If you want to have kids, there's something that's biological and within that.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to find a person. And I don't think that the time frame itself is getting longer. I think that we're just realizing that our bodies can still have children in our 40s, 50s, whatever.
Right.
But I think that there's that societal pressure of you only have so much time. Weave beauty and youth into it. And it's like you only have so much time until you start to wrinkle up and no one wants you.
That is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And I think the more we come away from that narrative, the more we're empowered as women. But I think that that's a big factor in it. And I think for me, all of the relationships in my life, like I have my own will in terms of we make our own choices. If we just went with our instinct all the time, we probably wouldn't learn anything aside from you should listen. Even then, I don't even know if you learn you should listen to your instinct. So you have to essentially walk off the path at some point in time. I do believe
Right.
that, else you're not going to learn.
You're not going to learn.
Now, how many times you choose to walk off the path and fail to recognize the signs, or I think that we tell ourselves that we can be the one, it's that savior mentality of like,
Yeah, we can change them.
yeah, or he'll change for me. And it goes back to
Absolutely.
that chosen space again, right? And that's just not the place. Because I went on a date with this guy and we dated briefly, and we dated, but I was down in Billings for the majority of it. And then I moved back up here, but I met him up here. Nice dude, funny, charismatic. We obviously had a spark. But in the first night that I met him, I knew I was like, you shouldn't pursue this.
Yeah.
But lust is a bitch.
It
And
really is. Yes. And when you
it'll
want to
steer you in many directions. You know?
totally.
And
Yeah.
my whole thing is have your fun, but what your expectation in this, because I was like, I would love to date this guy, but I also knew that it wasn't right from the moment I walked into the spot. But I drug it on for months. And then it became a thing. My body told me after I slept with him, my pH got all fucked up. You know,
It knows.
all of these things that my body was like, no,
Yeah.
this is not the guy for you right now.
Yes.
But again, I think if women don't, and I've gone through different periods of my life where I've dated myself, but not really.
Right.
And I think that until you realize what a joy you are to be around when you are around yourself and you're laughing at your own jokes and you're dancing by yourself and having a ball, not doing it for Instagram, not doing it on camera, not doing it for the applaud or the likes or any of that. Like when you can actually just enjoy the company of yourself, you realize, and I think that you need to do that for at least 1 year.
Oh, totally.
At least
Totally.
1 year of you being by yourself, learning how to pleasure yourself
Yes.
and knowing what it is that you need to take care of your whole self and your whole well-being. Because then you're not going to be, because I think that we're told, what's that thing of, and he's my missing,
Yeah. No.
my missing puzzle piece.
Right.
He's going to complete me. And I love a good rom-com just as much as anyone else.
Yes.
But I think that, if you do not feel like you are the whole package with the bow on top before you meet them, he's just lucky enough to unwrap the fucking bow.
Exactly.
And if he's not happy with it, it's not so much you. It's just that I think for me, when I finally came to the realization of the fact that it's just like, you are just not meant for each other.
And that's important. That's important because I think there's several points there. You made a good point because people often dismiss, and the people pleasing kicks in of, oh, I don't want to break, I'm going to break his heart, or I'm going to break her heart, or whatever. And I can't do that to them. And we could go on another segment on this one, but anymore, the volatility, emotional volatility with people, it's scary because Montana's a high suicide rate. Things happen. We've had incidences where young women, young men have unfortunately harmed themselves because of relationships breaking up. And now you get that buzz in the back of your head. You don't want to hurt you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to live with that for the rest of your life. But it's heavy people pleasing at the risk of your own well-being. You said it yourself, your pH goes off, or, oh, he just pushed me once, or I saw him raise his voice, or I saw her go off and go on a tangent one time. And you see that emotional insecurity, not feeling safe. That's why there's these wonderful helplines in play with, I just want to plug them, Abby Shelter, Haven down in Bozeman area, and places where you can, if you do feel something is off, you can contact them and have those conversations. Those resources do exist. But with that being said, it's a real thing that we dismiss that instinctive power that we have to know this. I've seen it in business, myself included, where I'm like, I shouldn't have collaborated with that person, or I shouldn't have pursued. And I just did it because I didn't want to hurt feelings, or I didn't want to ruffle feathers. So, now for me, as I'm getting closer to 50, I'm like, I don't want to do that shit to myself. The back end of it is way worse. So, having that hard conversation right in the very beginning, seeing those non-negotiables go right out the door, right? And those expectations are going right out the door. Yeah. You are right. You have to take time with yourself. You have to spend some time figuring and sorting those pieces out and placing a value on self. But my question for you is, if both sides, both genders, no matter if you're in a heterosexual or homosexual relationship, if we both did that, how do we then place value interdependently, right? Where does that exist? I want to value my partner as much as they value me. How do you get there?
Yeah, I feel that a relationship to me at this point is it is that additional bonus and that space of support.
Right.
And if I don't feel that you are adding any benefit to my life, and especially if you're creating this drama and this chaos that I'm now sucked into, that's not to say that things don't happen within people's lives, but if someone's willing to show up for you in the drama and the chaos, to be like, I'm just here. I understand that this is what you're going through right now, but they're not the one that's starting it, right? Or heavily participating in it.
Right.
And I think that's the key element to it. It's like, I do want to be able to show up. I want my partner to be able to love me as much as I love myself. And I saw a little clip of, I don't quote Brene Brown often, but sometimes I really, some of the stuff that when she reflects on her own personal life, I actually really appreciate some of the stuff that she brings to the table. And she said in this interview that she was doing that she had dated her husband on and off for 7 years. They get married. She's about 3 or 4 months into the marriage, and she starts to see a therapist. And I don't think I can do this anymore. And the therapist is, yeah, I don't know if you're in a hard spot. I don't know if you should. And then she found herself getting defensive about her husband, right? She was like, what's wrong with Steve? And the therapist says, it must be really hard to be with someone who likes you more than you like yourself.
Oh. Oh.
And that for me was a really interesting, because I look at all the men because I'm 43 and still single, right?
Right.
I look at all the men who have liked me more than I liked myself. And I think, shit, I missed the buck on that one. I really, damn.
Interesting.
And at the same time, I'm not going to necessarily, it's a good space for reflection later, right?
Totally.
And I really feel that if you don't like yourself, I think we all go through our moments, right?
Mhm.
Where we're like, wow, I feel like shit. I feel like a piece of shit right now because I made a bad decision. And if your partner can't be there, and if you can't be there for your partner on the space of reassurance of one, accountability, yeah, that was like a friend, probably not the wisest decision that you've made, Erin. You are still worthy of love and you can correct this. And I think that's an important space of
Yeah.
navigating for yourself to understand that's the type of support that I need.
Can I ask you've made such a good there's so many just this topic alone can go
Oh yeah.
there's so much to talk about to dive into that this piece. But oftentimes women I'm seeing myself included, give an example of myself. I was always going after the bad boy. And then the ones that would come to me and just would cherish me, I was like,
Yeah. They
that's
gag
how I
you.
felt. It was a gag reflex. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. No, I need to go after that where I have to literally starve myself to death, work out, make sure that I'm always beautiful when they see me, all the things, and chasing, chasing, chasing. And the reality is, I never really had them to begin with. But what you just mentioned was because I really, truly didn't take time to value myself, right?
Yeah.
And then the ones that really did see me makeupless, I'm like, I don't really care if you see. They saw me at the core and they saw something there that they were like, "Oh, I love that." Those other guys that I was trying, they didn't see that in me.
Yeah.
It's sad because you still see that. You still
Oh,
see the chase.
yeah.
And
You
I
know,
think that's beautiful, Erin. If you, gosh, just making that comment, and you just have such a great way of explaining it. And the Brene Brown comment, it just hits home so hard. It's
yeah.
beautiful that you said that. Thank you. And somebody listening is going to think about that. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's going to click and they're going to go, okay, yeah, I'm always chasing this guy, or I'm
Yeah.
always seemingly putting myself out there and getting rejected or whatever that is.
Yeah. And I always come back to the thing of what would you tell your girlfriend right now? What would you
Yeah.
tell your sister about the relationship that you're in, that you if they were in it? And it's always the same thing. It's like you deserve more than this. It's not saying, and I think as women, we've been like cultured and cultivated to have like deep empathy for men in terms of what they're going through and that space of processing. And we understand like the weight that the world has put on them and that we as a society have put on them. And, but let's be very clear who in society put that on them,
Mm.
right? It was other men. And it's not our job as women to fix that. It is the job of men and fathers to fix that, not us. And I think that I've definitely been in positions where I'm like, I'm concerned about his mental health and in terms of me breaking up with him. And at some point in time, there just has to come to a hard truth of I think about like my mentor, Nelson Stevens, and he said to me, he said so many wise things. He passed in he's an incredible artist. I say is because his art is still in the world and his legacy is still large and beautiful, but he passed in July of 2022. And he, one of the things that he said to me was just like, baby, just like, you got to leave that alone. You are not going to save us. And I think that is hard because women give birth to boys. So there are aspects of us that live in men.
Right.
And I think that there is this space of us wanting to shield and protect And I wonder sometimes, and it's more of a question, yes, I know, if it's more of a, are we doing it to save those aspects of ourselves? Or are we doing it because we care about men and boys? I think it's a combination of both, right? Like, again, there's two sides to every coin,
Yes.
base of accountability of it. And I, but I think that it is men's jobs to fix and change this. It is not our jobs to save them. Erica Badu says, call Tyrone and help him come get your shit.
Oh, yes. Songs.
Like,
Good song. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Yes.
I can't
Yeah.
be the one to help you move
No.
after you have disrupted my life.
Yeah.
And I understand the safety thing of it too. I've been in that position. And my friend's mother, who was so badly beaten by her ex-husband that he put her in the ICU. And after I left my abusive and violent situation in my mid-20s, I went to her. And I remember we were at a restaurant in Situate, Mass. We were right on the water. It was like this moment where she said to me, she said, Erin, you will keep them in your bed as long as you need to until you feel that it's safe to go. And so I think after there's that point of your instinct, when you violated yourself by not listening to your instinct and staying with this man way beyond all the red flags that you knew that you should have been out of that fucking situation. Right. And I think that there's a space in survivorship that you have to hold yourself accountable and not beat yourself up to be like, I knew I should have left him years ago, saw the first flag go up. But then there's a space of now you're navigating a space of safety. When you're in the space of navigating safety, it's also instinctual and you need community involved.
Right.
And so going back to red flags, it's like, I don't mess around at this point in my life after things I've experienced with even one red flag. And mind you, the shit with the guy that I met who on the dating app and whatnot here, that was recent. A lot of this stuff for me has been like, there's something about being in your 40s, like where you're like, oh,
yeah.
not right when you turned 40, but 42, 43, you start being like, oh, I don't have any time to tolerate this bullshit. And I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm just saying that you're not right for me.
And and I could do a whole conversation with the different decades of dating. It is a different holy buckets. I'm even looking at 20s and the instinctive suppression. I'm like, was my instinct not? I didn't have high acuity with my instinct. I wasn't really tapped into it. But and then life experiences kick in and all the things. And I think about, but then I look at my daughter and it's interesting because she is very quick with her instinct. And I think to myself, wow, if I could have only been her at her age, I wasn't. I was more people pleasing. I was suppressing it. I was seeing things. And then I'd be like, oh, that's just who he is. And I'm just going to dismiss it and all the things. I do think it shifts. It changes throughout the years. And I've been in a 20-year marriage. It's like my bullshit meter it's used to be this, and then after kids, and then the lag of having, and then going into perimenopause. My bullshit meter, I'm like, I do not have time for this shit. Like, this is not happening. Even in communication, but I want to go back to what you said initially about where does the responsibility lie? You made mentioning of fathers. Here's my thoughts on that one. I'm just going to share my thoughts on that.
Please.
What I've seen I have two young boys, and they're not really, my oldest is in college. And it's very interesting because I think one of the biggest things is effective communication. I always say this to myself, and my mother-in-law you should always be a safe place to land for your kiddos, all of them. But what I've found with my husband is effective communication and effective emotional communication.
Right.
And I also reiterate that because I have to oftentimes teach him some stuff.
Correct.
And then understanding how to process your emotions, or because there's a little bit of, I've seen biologically, there's something missing that often pops up at times. And I'm like, I understand you're wanting to go more analytic, but there's an emotional component to what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're thinking. So how are we effectively communicating that, even in his conversations with his sons, but also with my daughter, because they are distinctively different. And although my daughter's a very strong-minded, falls more in her masculine versus her feminine side, she taps into that emotional piece real quick when my husband talks. So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That communication aspect needs to be, but you learn that from your parents. You learn that emotional IQ from your parents. If it didn't exist, where the hell are you learning it from?
Yeah. No, I think that is.
Or your
very-
caregivers, right? However that looks as far as family life. So
Yeah.
yeah, but you made a good point.
I feel that, men oftentimes, I think, are so told not to be in their men have for so long. I think this whole conversation is new, although it's ancient, that we have feminine and masculine energies within all of us. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think men, and especially I'll speak heterosexual men, have been told, or cisgendered men have been told, that they have to override that emotional, because when you throw emotions out the window, you also throw emotional intelligence out the window.
Correct. Yes.
And so it's that space of teaching boys to communicate through their emotions, right? And I think it's also that space of teaching girls also to be analytical, right? And to tap into that space of, if analytics is that space of masculinity, because I've still been in this space of what truly is masculine and feminine.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
And I'm almost like, is there another term? Is there another term we're not finding and using?
And because I think that it's more, I think it's way more fluid, because I think we put so much stress and on the space of sexuality within it. It blurs, it murkies the water, right? And sexuality isn't a thing that people want to talk about. And I think I saw some Instagram commentator say, he was like, everyone's a little gay, like a little gay. Like,
yes. Just a
and
smidge.
like
Yeah.
some type of space. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think that women are given that we're allowed to look at other women's bodies and other women and be like, what a powerhouse. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
know?
And it
Like-
maybe not even be their body. It could be just, there's something attractive about the way they carry themselves, the way they
Right.
talk, like
How they move in their
how they
body,
move.
right?
Yes.
Like all of the things.
Right.
And they're allowed to express that. And men are not allowed to express that about other men.
Yeah.
So I think that we get so stuck in that space of sexuality that we confuse oftentimes that space of masculine and feminine with sexuality. And it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. Is it roles and responsibilities? I would love to sit down with more Indigenous and Black and Brown women and move through the conversation around, in a large group at the table, about what is masculinity? What is femininity? What are the things that we are rooted and defined in as women and men?
Yeah.
And so I think the other thing is, when we look at boys, and women like mothering sons, I think the piece that the trap that I think some mothers fall into with sons, from like an auntie perspective, right?
Mhm.
It's like there's a space of coddling that could happen, and a space of my son
Oh, the enablers?
couldn't do that.
The enablers? Is that what we're referring to? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My
Yes.
son couldn't do this atrocious act. And I think that comes from the space of, listen, maybe this is a little bit of a reflection on you.
I was going to
And
say that. Yeah.
because
It always
the
is,
dark
though.
parts of yourself that you have not dealt with,
Right.
the violent thoughts that you've had as a
Yes.
woman,
Yep.
some of that can transfer into your children. And if you don't deal with that shit inside of you, it will. Right. And so I think to sit in that type of space of denial of the actions of these men. So, my question to both men and women as parents in any type of relationship that they're in is, have you dealt with your darkness? Because you will pass that shit on to your kids if you do not deal with it. And the other layer of it is the trauma of the world.
Absolutely.
Young boys, our children are still being sent to war
Right.
for grown men's mistakes and decisions. And that is a lot of pressure for young boys. And you get into those spaces. I saw a conversation with these veterans. I don't know which branch, I forget which branch that they were in, but they were talking to a family of folks from the Middle East. And the family told the story of when their uncle had been killed by a sniper and
Yeah.
the brother.
Okay.
But the stories of the uncle, right? And so the uncle gets killed by a sniper, and the brother is out on the lawn, and the memory that the young girl has is of her dad trying to put her uncle's brain back in his head.
Oh my gosh.
And the military men who are from the United States are obviously sitting with a lot of remorse and guilt as this story is being told. And they said that the crazy thing about combat and violence is it's the biggest high that you will ever get in your life.
Right.
Higher than cocaine, heroin, all of these things. And so when we look at this space of addiction, right, and going against, because I don't think human beings were put on this world to kill one another, right? So it goes
No.
against soul contract. It goes against these things that make us human, right? That make us
Right.
divine and human. And but for them to recognize that in those spaces of combat, for them to get like how it's exhilarating and high, that's dangerous
Yeah.
for young men to be.
Yeah.
That's dangerous for all of us.
For all of us. Yeah.
Too.
Correct.
And I think that is what a violent situation we have put men in.
Yeah.
You
There's a lot of pressure. It's
And-
insanity. And then it filters out to everyone, everything.
Correct.
It does. It's that tertiary and then generational impact and then the war story, all of it. It doesn't go away. And
No.
you're right.
And it's glorified, and people are looked at as this, and they're awarded, and it's all of these things for like murder.
Yeah.
And I think that piece is a heavy thing that we need to look at, like
Yeah.
from a state of the world when it comes to war and the type of pressure that we actually put on children.
Yeah.
And so when there's something where I feel like where we're failing as parents and a society is that is deep advocacy that happen for children, to not put them in that space. And so I feel for men very much when it comes to having that amount of pressure. And for women, we've had our own box of our own bag of shit that we've had to carry
Yes.
for the world as well.
Right.
And I think that we have to be able to see both sides and have a conversation as both men and women about what that looks like in terms of a space of restoration and repair.
1,000%. And that, again, we all just want to feel loved. We all want to give love.
Right.
And we don't want to just bottle it up. It's a very infectious emotional charge. As far as bridging that into finding love here, I want to get your thoughts on what's your hopes for finding somebody, relationships, building connections in Montana from that standpoint.
Yeah. I think family has always just been like the word I come back to. I recently, last fall, was like diagnosed with breast cancer when I went through like all of the things and don't have to do chemo. I'm on hormone blockers now. And so there's like that larger conversation of,
Yeah.
do you want to save your eggs? Do you want to go through that harvest? Do you want to pay 10 to 20 grand to do it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And for me, I had some deep conversations with girlfriends around it. And one of my girlfriends said to me, her name's Malia Lazu, and folks should look her up. I will plug her hard. She's creating this wonderful online space as well called Sunflower Spa.
Okay.
On conversations of purpose, power, and pleasure.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Good.
Really good
Yes.
stuff. And I said, I've never seen, and at first I took offense to it, right? Because she was like, I've never seen you as a mom. There's some people that have that, just that mom energy and they want babies and when I said, it's not so much of me wanting to I love kids, I love babies, I love kids. But it's not me been wanting to be like, ooh, I want a baby. And I know that some women have that feeling. Some of my girlfriends have expressed that to me. And for me, it's always been like, I want to build a solid, functional, supportive family.
Yeah.
And my friend said to me, she goes, Erin, you can build family in many different ways.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I think that my mind has always been so much on this space of nuclear family, husband, wife, kids. And so for me, I've kind of been in that mindset of wanting to expand my own mind and emotional space of what family can look like for me. I can still try to have kids. I chose not to freeze my eggs, but I can go off these hormone blockers for 2 years, have a baby, and then, or I can be on them for 2 years, go off them, have a baby, and then go back on. And so for me, I would still love to have a partner, in life. And I think I'm in a great spot right now because I'm like, I also know that I would be fine if I didn't have one. I think the funny thing is, I think these drugs that I'm on right now has sent my libido to the depths of nothing.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but if the right dude, I always get a little excited. I went to this fundraising event for another great nonprofit called ARC that focuses on kids with complicated medical issues. This was a fundraiser for them, and it was over at Great Burn last night. And there were lots of good looking men in the room. And I don't usually go to that brewery. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, and it's always good to have the feeling of, okay, yeah, I could still be out here like in this space. But I feel like for me, building right now is building with women is my heart space right now. And it has been for a really long time. And a few good men that are like ready to have the real conversations. And I think the space of dating, I'm done with the hookups. I've done the booty calls. I've done the hookup space. My book that I'm working on is chocked full of it. But
Okay. Okay. I didn't know we had a book going.
interesting read.
Okay.
But that being said, that doesn't interest me. Like, for me at this point, sex is not the space that interests me. Again, it's like this beautiful addition that I love.
Yeah.
But that's also, and for me to sleep with you at this point in my life, because there's a lot of planning that has to take place.
Yeah.
I also can't get pregnant on,
Right.
it has to be like, there
It has
must
to be a conversation. There's a conversation around it.
Yeah, it can't be just
Yes.
for the moment thing anymore.
Right.
And I
Right.
think whatever higher power universe was like, I don't know, bitch, maybe you should slow down a little bit. So I'll take it.
Yes.
But so there has to be some planning and stuff involved. And I'm actually grateful for it. The need to slow down in relationship. And I think for me, it's like, I watch too much Bridgerton, but I'm like, I want to be courted.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Let's bring that back.
bring back some courting.
Courting.
And I
Yes.
understand that women in those spaces where it was like gilded cages and you had no rights if you weren't with a man, and without all that, like,
Yeah.
and also tell me, hey, I made dinner plans for us on Saturday night. Know my schedule enough to know that I'm free on Saturday nights.
Yes. Yes.
And to say, hey, I made dinner plans for us on Saturday at 8. Dress up. You
Good.
know, that type of thing, that's sexy to me.
Yes. We
But,
need that. We
you
need
know,
courting. We
yes.
need the Montana court. We need to bring back. And my other thought too is women just know. They just know. And my husband and I were set up on a blind date. First blind date I've ever had in my entire life. Was completely like, hell to the no, I'm not doing that. But my friend was like, this is more than looks, honey. You've been dating the same prototype, the same lughead, the football jack that does not give a shit about you. This guy I need you to be open-minded to it. He is you're quirky and weird. This guy's quirky and weird. You guys are going to banter back and forth. You are completely opposite ends of the spectrum as far as he's an introvert, I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't even sound good to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I got nothing else going on Saturday night. I didn't even ride. He didn't even pick me up. He literally was like, let's just meet in case this doesn't work out. We were both going into it with, this is like a shot in the dark situation. And then 20 years later, here I am. So I think to myself, my girlfriend knew. She was like, just give it a chance. I got somebody for you. And he courted me. It was it was a very slow go for us.
Yeah.
Because I was apprehensive and I'd been in and out of relationships and I was doing the thing where I was unplugging and finding myself.
Yeah.
And really tapping into my needs. And you are on it, girl. We need courting for Montana.
For sure. There's like there's the app, the league, and I'm like, am I just enticed by their branding?
Okay.
Or is it something that I'm actually interested in? And
what if we brought back women submitting their profiles in Montana if we're still going to stick with the online process, right? Why can't we create something where the spaces where women put themselves out there, they say exactly what it is that they want, what they're looking for, and be very transparent about that. But then an opportunity where women refer. Women bring the referrals. Women are like, oh, I know somebody that fits that.
Yeah.
Not just looks. It's not just look. It's the qualifiers that matter.
Yeah. There's that. Oh God. Have you seen the movie? I forget the name of it, but it's with Dakota Fanning and Pedro Pascal.
Is it newer?
I think so.
Okay. I've not seen it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
He's a dating, like,
yes.
She's a dating person. She matches.
A matchmaker.
Matchmaker in New York City. And one of her clients in it, and I think that this is important for us to touch on, right? Is one of her clients in it, she sets her up with this guy who's been vetted, and he ends up assaulting her, right? And so it's a subplot within it.
Okay.
And she comes back to Dakota Fanning as, how did this slip past you? And it's just so interesting. And now, mind you, this is a matchmaking service. And I think that this also speaks to the fact that I think that, yes, women need to be the betters. And it has to happen in deep group relationships. It's like looking at my guy friend that I've known I know this man.
Yes.
And I know his heart. And I think that is the type of thing in today's world. And I think it's always been this way. And we've come away from it because of this because of porn, because of money, because of whatever the case may be, because of just straight up lust and fun enough. But I look at some things that I've been in, situations I've been at, and I'm like, oh my God, that could have gone so many wrong ways.
Yeah.
And my mentor said to me before he passed too, we went to an event in New York together, and he was such a wonderful man. I always say, if I don't meet a man that loves me like the way that he did, I just have no, like, then you got to go.
No.
But he
They're
was
all up.
like,
Yeah.
but I was going out. It's like when dating apps were first out, probably like 2016-ish. Dating apps were not Match.com, but swiping apps, right? And so I'm like in New York, and I went out and met with some of these men, and my mentor was like, I am concerned. I'm going to bed. You're going out. Who the fuck are you going out with?
Right, right.
And I was like, I'm going with just some random dudes. And I am concerned for you. And so I look back on all these situations that I've been in, and I'm like, and thank God that most of the time things were okay. But it's just, and even then with this whole 62 million views of this site about people drugging and raping their partners, I'm like, where is the space of accountability? And I think it is yet again a time for men to deal with men, and for women to shield women.
Yeah.
So yes, back to this space of women vetting women, or women vetting men, and women setting up other women in the space of heterosexual relationships, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But so that's really where I'm at with this. I agree with you on that in terms of
And I have a friend whose sister is gay, and we were out, and I was talking with a girl she's a lesbian, and she's, I'm gay. And immediately, and I was like, she's good. She knew that's a potential. Her sister, very good, tapped into energy, knows what's good for her sister, knows, okay, yes, no. So even having that space available to also vet, because women just know. We do. We can tap into it. We can see it. We can go, okay, that would work for her, not for her, or work for her and him, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
We just know. We do. I'm going to say it. I'm proclaiming it.
Yeah, no, we do.
We do. Erin, I really have enjoyed, and I do think that we need to continue to have these conversations.
Great.
Because you've touched point on, I have so many notes and just looking down and going, oh, we could have gone on. We could have talked about that. We could have talked about that. It could have been there's so many things to talk about just on this topic and dating here. And you've covered quite a bit, but there's so much more to discuss. Yeah. And I want to say thank you so much. Yeah. And I'm so honored and I feel very grateful that we created this connection online on social media.
Yeah. Thank you, Instagram.
Thank you, Instagram. But have enjoyed the conversations we've had. Same. And getting to know you. And I hope you make your way up this way so we can actually do a studio talk or do a forum or something where women come together and talk about this. It's really important because it affects everything. But before we get into, I like to do a little thing where women acknowledge other women, and especially with what I'm building with this podcast segment called The Gathering Table, which will be featured in our online publication. We want more women to come to the table and feel safe to be able to discuss topics that are hard to talk about, things that impact and matter for our lives, have real, honest conversations. And it starts with inviting people in. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you this question. We believe in creating space for real, honest conversations and continuing them beyond just one voice at the table. So I'd love to give you the opportunity to pass or open up another seat at the gathering table. And who would that person be? Why? And what do you think she can bring for conversation?
Oh my God, I know so many rad women.
It's hard.
It really is. I think instinctively, because I think that it's a perspective that I think a lot of women need who are coming out of marriages and relationships. Let me just first I'll shout out to Carly Rae and Megan Jane, who run Conscious Pursuits. They are rad, and I think that they do a lot in grief work. And I think that they are two women to 1,000% mention. My friend Sarah Fielding, who works at the university, who's a psychologist or a licensed social worker and holds counseling, a clinical social worker who holds space. I think that her perspective on families and raising kiddos and her deep passion there is something that is important to mention. And then I would also say Summer Jean Peterson, I believe is her last name. And Summer Jean is the one that I would probably just say, I would want to invite. And Raina Montoya, because she owns Dharma Wellness, and she grew up for a bit, high school years in Colstrip, but came from Arizona, has Dharma Wellness, and it's an Ayurvedic spa, but she has just a deep sense of knowledge about self and well-being and growing up here in Montana. And Summer Jean, who grew up in Billings, spent a long time in Red Lodge, but she's putting out a book right now that's about her divorce.
Okay.
And that's not something that I have experience in. And I think that there's a lot of women right now that are going through divorce. And she's also a therapist, a psychotherapist. She does a lot. I've done a lot of sound bowl, like massage work with her. She does a lot of journeying, and I'll just say it that way. And she's just a ray of light. She's a wonderful mother. She's also a yoga teacher. She's done really great things.
Wonderful.
So let's just broaden the table completely. But I think that all of those women in my circles here in Montana, we'll keep it to Montana folks right now.
Yes. Yes. We want to give Montana women the space to come and gather and discuss.
Yes.
So all of those women sound amazing to me, but you're right. The divorce topic is such an important thing to tap into.
Yeah. She is like I said, she's a light and she is a gem and she's very honest and everything that she's building. I'm going to exit now when we're done with the conversation.
Aloe Duane.
No.
He's so cute. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. And I'm really excited to get a chance to sit with her and chat and meet her.
Yeah.
But you, Erin, you're amazing. And I just want to say what is the best way for people to learn a little bit more about you, connect with you? Let's say there's a woman listening and they're like, oh, I want to work with her. I want to talk to her. I want to get more perspective. Maybe even, who knows, what can come out of this? So how would they connect with you?
So I have two different websites, one for kind of Ida Marber, that's more exploring systems and system change, but working through the space of yoga. So it means same tree in Latin. So it's EADEMARBOR.com. And then for me and my personal, it's just my full name, which is Erin Kay, ERINKAY Anderson.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you better come back on.
Yes, I would love to, like I said, give me an excuse to go up to Whitefish and enjoy some good summertime. But yeah, this has been an honor and a blessing. And I just thank you for having the conversation with women here in Montana, because I feel like the more connected we are, the better the state is, quite honestly, the better we can advocate for one another and for our kids.
Absolutely. And thank you.
You're welcome.
A special thank you to our podcast guest. You can find all of her links in the description of this episode. If you like what you heard, please hit subscribe. You will be notified of future podcast guests. Follow us on our social media platforms and stay tuned for our next podcast chat with an amazing Montana woman.